Hello everyone and welcome along to another episode of My Garage, where you might notice we have a car sitting there and the money hasn't changed. That is because I bought this car about 4 episodes ago and had it stashed down at the junkyard. I just never brought it over. But this is our latest project car. So this is a car I bought for about $1,000 and it is a Bart muscle car. And it is in a very, very sorry way. Very rusty, very damaged, very rotten, loads of parts missing, but it does have a V8 engine. We're not going to replace that engine, we're going to rebuild it. But as it is just now, I don't even think we'd be able to get it out. This is one of the little weird things that happens with damage in this game. Bolts aren't where the panels are anymore, but we are going to rectify that. But the very first thing I want to do is grab out a new garbage bag and get rid of some of these lad parts that we have lying around, and we'll pop this over here out of the way for now. We're gonna start by sort of hosing this car off and see what's actually going on underneath all of this dirt. Probably nothing good, to be honest. But this is our next project. This will be a full restoration. I want a full 5 stars for this car across the board. So not modifying it in any way, just repairing. Probably replacing almost everything. If the engine is particularly bad, I will build another one if I need to. But this is not going to be a cheap endeavour. I can't even really wash that wing properly. Try and get some of the dirt off of it at least. So some of the panels are okay, but we'll just have to see, really, because I don't think many of them are okay. So let's take a little stock of the condition of the vehicle. Just now, its overall condition is 0 stars, good colour condition, in good clean state naturally. 2 stars for rust. We have made it worth now more than I paid for it, but not enough more than I've paid for it. So let's grab some tools and strip off some of these parts. Some of these parts, when you take them off, might kind of explode off. That one just fell. That's okay. So we'll start a scrap pile over there because that's where pretty much everything is going to end up going anyway. That is an absolutely wrecked wing, and as you can see, everything, chassis rail and everything, is very out of shape here. I think that's for the bumper. I don't even know how this bumper connects, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's that one. Yeah, that was the bumper. When the panels are damaged this badly, there is no point even trying to hammer them back into shape. They are just dead, basically. So even the parts that look like they're not too terribly bad, like that one, it's got a huge bit of rust in it, but we're just going to get rid of everything. So many bolts here that I don't know what they're supposed to be for. Let's move on to the rear seat. It looks good, but this car will get a brand new interior put in it. Just everything has to go, basically. We'll let the parts do the dance. See if I can find the bolt on the back there. Not really anything on the rear end. Let's get this door off. The door looks absolutely fine, but even it's damaged, as you can see by the position of the bolts on the hinges. I stack everything I've gotten off it so far over here out of the way. Otherwise I'll end up just kicking it all over the countryside, and we don't want that because eventually we'll end up with just random parts in the woods. Some mechanical parts already come off. I don't even know where to begin over here. Well, I think what I should actually do is try and get this car up on axle stands. The entire floor is rotten as well. And now it's upside down. That's okay. Surprisingly, that doesn't bother me too much. So while it's upside down, let's just take off a heap of parts that we can access now. Prop shaft with nothing attached to it is going to be a bit of a problem. That probably won't want to come off. Some parts just don't want to. Let's take the front subframe bolts out, and where do these ones connect? It's very hard to tell your way around a car when it's upside down like this. Let's take some of the parts away as well. Not really sure how I'm going to get this wheel to stop floating. Maybe I have to take the wheel off itself. No, that did not fix it. So if you're wondering, how do I get it back on its wheels? I just tow it to the customer service sign. It's gone over again. Awesome. It's added itself to the pile of scrap. Let's take a couple of these axle stands off and try that one more time. A little bit of a waste of money, but a bit of an annoying situation to be in. There we are. Stayed on its wheel, well, the right way up this time. And let's see what we can do about this front end now. Now, the prop shaft looks okay, and what will happen is when I put an axle on it, and tighten it up and things like that, I can then replace it. There's the front cross member off finally. The engine's still attached, strangely. Probably because the radiator is still attached. Just undoing random bolts at this point. Where would the radiator be connected? It should be on the sides here, but because it's so damaged, it's so hard to tell. I think that's radiator bolts, which would mean they're in there somewhere. There's one, and there's the other. Looks like the engine's still held on with this wires main. There's a bolt there. Okay, let's get this front panel off. Add that into the pile of scrap. Get some of these parts just picked up off the ground. Let's see. I can't tell where the other live wires meant to go. Everything's just shifted over so very far. So with that being said, let's start cutting things off of the car. Start with the disc that's already used a little bit. The radiator support just gone. Maybe give me a bit more access to the car if I can get this on. There we are. That bit should then fall off. Then I want this piece here. Which I think that one and that one are part of. Yes, they are. We're probably going to have to take a trip to the store and pick up grinding discs and a million electrodes. Get that one off of there. And like usual, let's just throw them on the scrap pile. Now at this point, we more or less have a floating engine, which I don't really know what to do about. That's an actual stand. Let's put that back. It's not connected to anything at all, but let's put it back. Grab the pry tool and get this bit of suspension off of here. And the windscreen as well. No rear window. Oh, there is a rear window. We'll take it out anyway. It's not broken, but I'm sure it's not in the best shape. Fuel tanks sitting off to the side in front of a rally car there. Get the firewall off of this as well, our last grinding disc. Is there more? There might be. Might be those ones as well. That's it. That is a large pile of scrap there. This is where things get a little bit interesting because I need to try and get this off, but I don't want to disassemble the entire engine in order to do so. It looks like a starter motor would go there. I think I took the earth off. I think the earth would be that one there. And then, of course, the alternator is actually still here, so that bolt there, perhaps? Yes, that gives me the wiring loom, and therefore the engine. This engine doesn't look healthy, to be completely honest. We might build a new engine, but now we're left with only a couple of parts left. Drop them out there. That's, I think, is that the other one? There's no headliner or anything on this, so nothing in the trunk. So add that to the pile. Now, we don't have an awful lot of, well, car left at this point. Let's see if I can push it completely onto the concrete there. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do is rebuild that front structure because that will maintain the car. But for those of you who are wondering, the car is now worth $341. So we are running at a loss, but we have an entire scrapyard in the front garden. So let's go for Bart, let's go for body, and we want front panel, radiator support, other front panel. I'm not worried about the valance or anything like that yet. And a firewall. There we are. So let's find the welder. Been a little while since I've used the welder. And just tack it on in a couple of places. We don't want it completely connected to the rest of the car. Same with these, we want to connect this to the firewall, but not the floor. It's not even giving me the weld points for the floor. So what this does is it means that these components here will stay, will keep the car, if I can take everything else off of the car now, barring these parts have just stuck together, and the car will still register as being complete. I think we're out of electrodes as well. Magical floating disc. So I will run to the store, grab some electrodes, and then we'll crack on with this car. Okay, that is the radiator support fully welded on now, so let's move on to the next thing we're going to cut off, which I'd like to cut out the floor. I did pick up quite a few boxes of everything, really. I got 5 boxes of grinding disc, 5 boxes of electrodes. So that should keep us going for a little while. Let's see if I can get the floor out. Just gonna keep cutting things until the floor falls out, I guess. I think there's some in here. I don't think that's part of the floor, but I'll cut it off anyway. That is perhaps part of the sill, which cut that off there. Yep, that cut the sill off. Or the rocker, if you prefer. Let's add another welding disc gone. And still no floor out. I'll just carry on with the chopping. There's one of the floors. Not the one I wanted, but one of them. I wonder. No, there's not anything for there. Don't see anything here. This shows just how out of shape even the back of the car is. Actually, what it could be, let's get these rockers out of the way. What it could be is these jack stands could be causing my issues here. It would appear not. There is literally nothing left here that it's connected to other than this possibly because the prop shaft is there. That take off maybe? No, that took a frame rail off. But not this one, surprisingly. Sometimes in the case of this, what you might have to do is reload the game, or reload the save. That is something that does happen every now and again. So I'll cut some more bits out that I want to cut out, and I'll relaunch the game. I'll bring you guys back once hopefully that floor is out, and we'll crack on from there, getting the rest of the structure put back into place. I'll see you guys in just a second. Okay, we now have the floor off. Don't worry about how the car's floating, that's a thing. Let's take the axle stands away here. I'll look a little bit more normal, kind of. I've left the roof on for now, just for no particular reason. But now that we've got the floor off, I had to reload the game twice, and the issue I was having, it was a bit of a bug. Some of the grinding points just weren't showing up, so I had to just go around and try and cut where I thought they should be, and it let me cut the parts off. But let's see if we can get a floor put back in, and there's also a torsion support that goes in the front as well. So let's get these put back in. So that goes there. It will be a bit wonky, I don't know. My electrode is there, it's just floating miles in the sky. Let's see if we can... No, that didn't work. What we might have to do here is... might actually have to put these stands back in. Hopefully the car doesn't tip, and see if this supports the floor. It does. And let's get that all tacked in, and that's the end of that electrode. This is a bit footery, but I've worked out if you kind of point it at the orange part of the handle for the welder, you can connect it. So that should be that fully reattached to the floor there. And let's get this torsion support. It goes just there under the front. I wonder if it'll give me the weld points for it. Doesn't appear like it will. I've got one there and one round here on the other side, but there's also somewhere... oh, we've run out of electrode again. Somewhere in about here was where I had to cut. That'll be that there, I imagine. Let's kick some of these parts out of the way. So we have a floor. Let's very tentatively see if I can put an axle stand anywhere on the front here without the car disappearing onto its roof again. And there we are. It's fully on axle stands now. That's a huge step forward now. Try and clear some of my working area here. Some of the Z fighting going on. Now the next thing I want to put on is there is more floor to do. So we need another torsion support, I believe it is, trunk floor and 2 frame rails. Let's start with this frame rail here. We'll get them both sat in place. That will at least look like the actual stands are holding something up. Now as it stands just now, these just have those 2 parts there to weld on. I'm not sure if I can even put this on just yet. This sits somewhere around the back here. Might be a different part at the back. And there's a few welding points. There, there, and there. Another electrode. I should probably just keep a million of these in my pocket. Now let's see if this does connect on the back here. I think it's a smaller part actually. That's the one, that's the same as that one, that's from the front, but there's another part that looks the same. Actually, it doesn't look the same as this part here. Middle frame brace. So we have a torsion support that can just pretend I didn't buy that. A waste of money there. I'm sure I will do that many more times. Middle frame brace, we need the middle panel. Possibly this part of the floor. Yeah, that's the part of the floor that we're missing, so we'll set that over there for now. Let's get this piece set in place. This piece was preventing the rear floor falling off the car. So it's tack welds there, there, and then there and there. So it's just a little bug that some of the weld and grind points don't show. We don't need that part just yet, but we'll get this piece put on. That's another electrode done. Come on, give me one. I don't think there's any parts that join these together, but we now have a floor. Let's move on to this part here, which sits right there. And again, this part doesn't have much to weld onto just yet because we're obviously not going to connect it to the roof. So we're going to cut the roof off as well, so that's that part. And we need some wheel wells wherever they might be, or wheel houses they're called on this car. We'll get these attached on as well. Very important components. These hold the rear shock absorbers in, so we certainly can't go without them. This is an awful lot of work just to replace some rotten panels, I will admit that. These frame rails looked okay, but I think they were bent. So let's get this roof chopped off. Not much holds this roof on at this point. You can see just how far out of shape it is. We'll add that to the scrap heap. So that's what the basic frame of a BART looks like with absolutely no body panels on it. But let's do something about that and make it a little bit more car shaped. So we can turn this into a convertible if we want, but I don't. I want to keep it as it was. So I want these inner panels next. As for colour for this car, what I had in mind was possibly white, because that's not a colour I would normally do. So it could be interesting to have it white, or we might just do it the original colour. Can't remember what the original colour is, but we might do that. But we're not going to be on the painting process just yet anyway. And we still have, well, a car to build. Oh, we're too far away from the welder to do that part. There we are. So that's the complete shell, the unpainted parts. Now let's start looking at some of the parts that will require painting. If we start from the top, I'm not going to do the doors just yet because they'll just get in the way. The grille will get in the way. Same with the hood. We'll get a rocker panel though. And apparently there's just the one there. There's the other rocker panel. Roof. That's more or less it, actually. So there's the roof. We will weld these on as we go. And one more weld before we need yet another electrode. So we'll grab that first. There's another part that I forgot to grab actually, another few. Quite a few welding points for some of these parts because we've been cutting things off and only welding certain sections, and there might even be a couple inside. No, there isn't. But these rocker panels, or sills as I know them, are structural components. They're quite important on a car. Another electrode down. Good thing I bought 5 boxes of them. So we're almost through our first box already on this car. Next we'll put these panels on. We'll just stick both of them on just now and get them welded on. So it should be a handful of welding points for these. but we are basically rebuilding this car from scratch at this point. Not sure if there's any welding points in the wheel arches. Doesn't appear to be. It still lets me weld things, but yeah, I don't see anything there. So let's check that. The car's now worth more than what I paid for it, but I am at a loss. But it has no rust, which isn't surprising because well, there's nothing to it. I think when I still get that symbol, I think the parts aren't fully welded on. I believe, but I don't know. It's one of the parts I've missed. Let's see if we can find it. We need a rear panel and rear valance, of course. Middle panel lip is the one that I always forget with these cars. This little part here sits right there. Just like that, and another electrode down. Our final one out of the first box is being used. I dropped it, oh no. I don't know if this is doing anything or not, but might have just been a waste of an electrode, but I don't know. Get rid of that. Refill the electrode. Move it a little bit closer to the back and get this part. Don't think it can go on just yet, but this part absolutely can. And this should have quite a few welding points on it. I missed. I'll do that. Well, whatever I did, and I don't have the little hand symbol, so maybe that did work. And that part goes just on there. I don't know if this gets welded on. It does. Going through electrodes like most people go through breaths, I guess. I don't know. And then one there as well. So it almost looks like a car. I mean, it definitely looks like the shell of a car now. So with that being said, we are now down below 20,000, which isn't necessarily where I want it to be. But let's get some fenders on the front. Now we'll get the front valance put on as well. And the other part I want to put on is the trunk, which is our first bolt-on part to this car, I believe. However, definitely looks more like a car, at least from the rear anyway. Now that the car's the right shape as well, the bolts are where they're supposed to be. And I think the front valance is a weld-on part. Possibly not. No, it's not actually. It's a bolt-on part. There we are. And, well, I guess we'll just put the hood and things on as well while we're here. Maybe not actually, because it will just get in the way. Make sure we've got absolutely everything we want out of here. Middle lip panel is on. I'll put the fuel door on as well, it doesn't really make a difference. We'll grab the grill. Like I said, I'm not going to put the door on just yet, nor the bumpers. We'll start with the grill. And that gap that's left is for the front bumper. Front bumper fills that space in there. And then the fuel door, a little bit different on this car, sits on the back here. I think the number plate also attaches to that, and obviously the rear bumper goes on the back as well. But with that being said, we have in this episode stripped down our new project car and rebuilt up the shell. So in the next episode we will see about possibly getting the suspension or interior or maybe even the engine redone. But for those of you who are interested, it is now worth $2,000. Not an awful lot, but it will be worth more than that very soon. But thank you all very kindly for watching. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can of course subscribe. You ring that bell notification, that way you get notified of all of my future uploads. And of course you can also join the Discord. The link to the Discord is in the video description. And I will be back with the next episode very soon. But thank you all very kindly for watching, and I'll see you all there. Bye for now.